Hello, this is Jordan Parrott, and my presentation is on speech-to-text as assistive technology, which is something I use a lot in my resource classes as well as my students with who are ELL. So, what is speech-to-text? It converts spoken words into written text in real time. So here are some examples. Some of them are specific programs like Dragon Naturally Speaking that are separate from browsers and are apps that kind of go into your computer. Others are browser extensions like Google Voice Typing, Microsoft Dictate. And then they also have access to use these tools on any of their phones, which also have speech to text applications. So it's accessible computers, tablets, smartphones, just anywhere that these kids can get a hand on technology, they have access to speech to text. So some key features of speech to text, and one of the things that makes it so wonderful, is real-time transcription of speech, which means as they say it, it shows up. They can get kind of real-time understanding of real-time feedback of their writing. So there's voice commands for editing and formatting. So learning the voice commands on how to add punctuation, how to add a space, how to do paragraph breaks, all of those things. There are specific voice commands for those editing, and also for formatting as well. A lot of these, like we talked about, are integrated with word processors, emails, and learning platforms. So we use Google Chrome for pretty much anything, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Classroom, Gmail. So the Google Voice is the one we use a lot in my school because of the fact that everything is kind of through the Google Chrome browser. So it can just be an extension that we add into the browser and teach the kids how to use. You can also do things like customizable vocabulary. Obviously, there's some vocabulary that is very specific to certain subjects and may not translate from if it's being dictated to your average word processing speech to text program. So you can add customizable vocabulary so to kind of limit confusion for students and make sure that they have correct spelling of that vocabulary when they do dictate it. And then you also have certain accessibility functions. I think one of the best ones is text-to-speech feedback. A lot of my students who have issues with writing, they also have issues with reading. There's kind of a comorbidity there. So having text-to-speech feedback for those, for those programs does allow them the opportunity to independently receive feedback and not have to wait for a teacher to go over their work in order to provide notes and corrections. So here are some benefits for students with LBD. I think one of the best ones is reduces the writing barriers. So for students who might have things like dysgraphia or other cognitive issues, particularly in written expression, this can be really helpful. For students with fine motor challenges, it could reduce the physical strain of typing. Or if some of them might have such severe fine motor challenges that typing is not something that is feasible for them. For students with ADHD who might have focus issues, it can be really helpful. And then also for ELL students, English language learners, particularly if they have good ability in speech and understanding the words when they're spoken. And have a pretty decent vocabulary when they talk, this can be something that can be very helpful for them if they are still struggling with written expression, vocabulary, spelling, grammar, in written expression. The biggest thing is also boost independence. Students can complete assignments without relying heavily on others for transcription. We want students to be independent. For our ADD students, it can support focus, decrease that frustration that can come with slow handwriting or typing. I have a lot of students who struggle with, I have the thought, but I can't put it down. But if they speak it, they can pretty much do exactly what you need them to do. They just need to be able to say it as opposed to write it. So this can be really helpful for those students and keep them kind of engaged. It can, of course, improve confidence. They see their ideas expressed clearly and faster. And it encourages participation. It allows them to contribute more in class discussion, group work, as well as, in class assignments. For addressing learning and behavior, like I said, for things like dyslexia or dysgraphia, this bypasses spelling and handwriting struggles. For ADHD, it speeds output before attention drifts. For fine motor difficulties, it minimizes reliance on handwriting or typing. For expressive language needs, it lets students speak ideas more freely. And of course, when we come to behavior concerns, particularly with things like frustration or avoidance, it's going to reduce that stress tied to written class and hopefully avoid either outbursts or that kind of avoidance shutdown. When you implement it into the classroom, you need to provide training to the student on how to use these tools. You can't expect them to know it on their own or know how to do it on their own. You need to make sure that you're pairing this with proofreading strategies, because dictation, particularly if they have a speech impediment or an accent, there can be a lot of errors. So you have to pair it with proofreading strategies so that the students can correct their own work. You want to incorporate it into writing assignments, note-taking, and assessments. So that way it's kind of used in all areas of their classroom curriculum. Another big one is you want to allow it as a choice, because obviously eventually you want them to hopefully phase out of needing the speech to text. So you never want to make it feel like you are required to use this. You want to, if you want to have them be more independent, you need to give them that option to not use it. Teachers can also model its use during a lesson to normalize it. So that means like maybe doing using speech to text and creating notes on the smartboard as you're going that students can kind of follow along with to kind of model how it's used. And you want to combine it with other supports. Things like graphic organizers for planning. So that way they do get some kind of traditional writing experience when they're working on organizing their text. So that they do not just rely on speech to text. So, an example scenario: a 7th grade student with dyslexia and ADHD struggles with writing assignments. The teacher introduces Google Voice typing in Google Docs for essays. How it could work: the student speaks their ideas into a Chromebook, and then the speech to text converts to a written draft. The teacher is going to model use and allow practice time, and the student's later going to proofread and edit with spell check and peer review. Our hopeful outcome is that the student produces longer, more detailed essays. We're not getting real simple sentences or, two sentence paragraphs. Writing frustration is going to decrease, which is going to lead to their confidence and greater participation in the class. And then the teacher is going to hopefully notice improved focus, since the student spends less time kind of stuck on the minutia of spelling and writing mechanics. All right. Here are my references. Thank you so much. This has been my presentation on speech to text. I tried to make it very fast, so hopefully it was detailed enough. Thank you.